Katie Hopkins, a figure known for her polarising views and no-holds-barred commentary, has launched a scathing critique of UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's tenure in office. Her takedown has sent ripples through political discourse, fueling intense debates about leadership, policy priorities, and the state of the nation. The event underscored both the fragility of Starmer's position and the charged atmosphere surrounding contemporary British politics. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. At the heart of Hopkins's criticism was an indictment of what she perceives as Starmer's lack of vision and decisiveness. For a leader who rose to prominence with promises of steady governance and moral clarity, this critique strikes at the core of his appeal. Hopkins pointed to what she characterized as an incoherent policy agenda, accusing Starmer of trying to please too many factions while failing to deliver substantive results. This argument resonates with broader criticisms that Starmer's leadership has been marked by ambiguity, with his government often accused of reacting to crises rather than proactively shaping the nation's future. Hopkins's attack wasn't limited to policy. She also delved into questions of Starmer's character and leadership style. She painted a picture of a leader out of touch with ordinary Britons, arguing that his focus on political correctness and appeasing elites has alienated key sections of the electorate. This line of attack taps into a broader narrative that has been building since his rise to the premiership, a perception that Starmer struggles to connect with voters outside metropolitan and progressive circles. In a political climate increasingly dominated by populist rhetoric, such critiques have the potential to erode trust in his ability to lead effectively. One of the most contentious aspects of Hopkins' takedown was her sharp commentary on Starmer's handling of the economy. She accused him of presiding over a period of economic stagnation, highlighting rising living costs, slow wage growth, and a failure to address structural inequalities. For many, these issues are at the forefront of daily life, and Hopkins' criticism taps into widespread frustration with the government's perceived inability to deliver tangible improvements. While Starmer has sought to position himself as a steady hand on the economic tiller, Hopkins's pointed remarks threaten to undermine that image, framing him as a leader who is more concerned with optics than outcomes. Another focal point of her criticism was Starmer's approach to immigration and border control. Hopkins claimed that his policies have been too lenient, arguing that his government has failed to address public concerns about uncontrolled migration. This issue remains a hot-button topic in British politics, often fueling polarized debates about national identity, economic impact, and social cohesion. Hopkins' fiery rhetoric is likely to resonate with sections of the population that feel neglected by mainstream political discourse, adding another layer of complexity to Starmer's already challenging position. Hopkins' critique also extended to Starmer's foreign policy, which she labeled as weak and inconsistent. She took aim at his handling of international relations, particularly his approach to conflicts and trade negotiations. By framing Starmer as indecisive on the global stage, Hopkins attempted to cast doubt on his ability to navigate an increasingly volatile international environment. For a prime minister operating in a world marked by geopolitical tensions and economic uncertainty, such criticisms can be particularly damaging, potentially undermining public confidence in his leadership during crises. Perhaps most strikingly, Hopkins accused Starmer of betraying the working-class roots of the Labour Party. She argued that his government has drifted too far from the party's traditional base, prioritizing progressive causes over the bread-and-butter issues that matter most to ordinary people. This line of attack is especially potent given Labour's historical identity as the party of the working class. By questioning Starmer's commitment to these values, Hopkins sought to portray him as a leader disconnected from the party's core mission, a critique that could have far-reaching implications for Labour's electoral prospects. The sheer force of Hopkins's critique has reignited debates about the state of political leadership in the UK. Her commentary, though divisive, taps into genuine frustrations and concerns among the electorate. For many, her words serve as a wake-up call about the challenges facing the country and the need for bold, effective leadership. However, her sharp rhetoric also risks deepening divisions, exacerbating the polarized political climate that has come to define recent years. Starmer's supporters have been quick to dismiss Hopkins's remarks as sensationalist and unfounded, arguing that they fail to reflect the complexities of governing in challenging times. They point to his achievements, such as stabilizing the party after years of internal strife and restoring credibility on the national stage. Yet the fact that Hopkins's critique has gained traction underscores the challenges Starmer faces in communicating his vision and countering negative narratives. The event highlights the growing influence of media personalities like Hopkins in shaping political discourse. In an era where traditional political analysis often struggles to capture public attention, figures like Hopkins wield significant power in framing debates and setting the agenda. Her critique of Starmer is a reminder of how public figures outside the political establishment can amplify discontent and challenge conventional narratives, often with lasting impact. For Starmer, Hopkins's broadside represents a pivotal moment. It is not just an attack on his record, but a challenge to his leadership and vision for the country. To weather this storm, he will need to articulate a compelling and cohesive narrative that addresses the concerns raised by critics like Hopkins while reasserting his authority and credibility. This will require not only policy solutions, but also a deeper connection with the electorate, bridging divides and rebuilding trust in his leadership. Hopkins's critique also serves as a reflection of broader societal tensions and divisions. Her remarks resonate with those who feel disillusioned by the political establishment, tapping into a sense of frustration and alienation that transcends party lines. This dynamic poses a significant challenge for Starmer, as he seeks to navigate a political landscape marked by distrust, polarization, and competing demands. The implications of Hopkins's takedown extend beyond Starmer's personal standing to the wider political environment. It underscores the fragility of leadership in an era of heightened scrutiny and instantaneous feedback. For a prime minister facing significant domestic and international challenges, maintaining public confidence is both essential and increasingly difficult. The controversy surrounding Hopkins' remarks highlights the pressures of modern leadership and the complex interplay between policy, perception, and public opinion. Hopkins' attack has placed Starmer's government under intense scrutiny, forcing it to address criticisms and defend its record. In the longer term, it raises questions about the direction of British politics and the role of leaders in navigating an uncertain future. For Starmer, the challenge is not just to rebut Hopkins's critique, but to use it as an opportunity to strengthen his position and outline a compelling vision for the country. While Hopkins's rhetoric may polarize, it also serves as a catalyst for important conversations about leadership, accountability, and the future of the UK. Her takedown of Starmer is a reminder of the power of public critique to shape political narratives and influence public perceptions. As the dust settles, the event will undoubtedly continue to reverberate, shaping discussions about the challenges and opportunities facing Britain in the years to come. Katie Hopkins's fiery critique of Prime Minister Keir Starmer has dominated political discourse, sparking discussions about the nature of his leadership and the challenges he faces. Beyond the immediate backlash, this moment encapsulates a deeper undercurrent in British politics, a brewing dissatisfaction with leadership that transcends traditional party affiliations. Hopkins' scathing assessment wasn't an isolated outburst, but a reflection of a broader sentiment that has been simmering across the country. Her remarks, while divisive, struck a chord with a segment of the population that feels increasingly disconnected from Westminster politics. To understand the weight of Hopkins's critique, it's crucial to consider the backdrop against which it unfolded. Starmer took office with high expectations, promising a departure from the turbulence of his predecessor and a focus on steady, competent governance. However, for many, those promises have not materialized in tangible ways. Hopkins's attack illuminated this disconnect, focusing attention on the gap between expectations and reality under Starmer's leadership. Her words serve as a mirror for a society grappling with economic instability, cultural tensions, and a sense that their leaders are failing to rise to the occasion. A key element of Hopkins' critique lies in her ability to frame her attacks in relatable terms. While much of political criticism tends to dwell on abstract policies or parliamentary maneuvering, Hopkins rooted her arguments in everyday concerns. This approach resonated with those who feel the pinch of rising costs, stagnating wages, and uncertainty about the future. By painting Starmer as a leader who has failed to grasp the urgency of these challenges, she tapped into a reservoir of frustration that has been growing among ordinary citizens. This ability to connect broad political criticism with lived experiences gave her words a resonance that traditional political critiques often lack. Hopkins also zeroed in on a perceived erosion of national identity under Starmer's tenure, an issue that has long been a flashpoint in British politics. In recent years, debates around national identity have intensified, fueled by contentious issues such as immigration, devolution, and cultural shifts. Hopkins capitalized on these tensions, framing Starmer as a leader out of step with the values and priorities of a significant portion of the electorate. By portraying him as more aligned with elite cosmopolitanism than with the concerns of ordinary Britons, Hopkins positioned herself as a voice for those who feel overlooked in the national conversation. The framing of Starmer as an indecisive leader was another cornerstone of Hopkins' critique. In her assessment, she painted a picture of a prime minister more focused on maintaining a precarious balance within his party than on delivering bold leadership for the nation. This characterization strikes at the heart of Starmer's political identity. While his supporters see him as a pragmatic and cautious leader, his critics, Hopkins included, argue that this caution has translated into a lack of direction. This debate over Starmer's leadership style speaks to a larger question about the role of boldness versus caution in modern governance. Hopkins's criticism of Starmer also opened up discussions about the role of opposition within a democracy. As leader of the opposition prior to becoming prime minister, Starmer was known for his meticulous and lawyerly approach to holding the government accountable. However, as Hopkins highlighted, this approach has not always translated effectively into governing. For many, her critique underscored the tension between being an effective critic of others' policies and crafting a clear vision for one's own governance. This dynamic is particularly important in an era where voters demand not just competent management, but inspiring leadership. Another dimension of Hopkins' critique focused on Starmer's perceived inability to navigate the challenges of the modern media landscape. In a world where public perception is shaped as much by social media and sound bites as by detailed policy proposals, leaders must be able to project their vision effectively and resonate with a wide audience. Hopkins's takedown of Starmer highlighted what some see as a failure on his part to master this aspect of modern leadership. By portraying him as wooden and disconnected, she added to the perception that he struggles to communicate with authenticity and conviction. The timing of Hopkins's critique added to its impact. Coming at a moment when public confidence in political institutions is already fragile, her words landed with particular force. For many, her attack served as a reminder of the challenges facing the UK, from economic uncertainty to cultural polarization. At a time when trust in traditional political leadership is waning, Hopkins's critique of Starmer added fuel to the fire, amplifying a sense of dissatisfaction that extends beyond any single issue or leader. While Hopkins's critique primarily focused on Starmer, its implications extend far beyond his leadership alone. Her words reflect a broader frustration with the state of British politics and the perceived inability of leaders to address the pressing challenges of the day. This frustration is not confined to Starmer or the Labour Party, but is indicative of a wider disillusionment with the political class as a whole. In this context, Hopkins' attack can be seen as part of a larger reckoning with the state of leadership in the UK. The fallout from Hopkins's critique also raises questions about the role of public figures in shaping political narratives. In an era where traditional media often struggles to maintain its influence, figures like Hopkins wield significant power in framing debates and influencing public opinion. Her critique of Starmer serves as a reminder of the growing role of non-traditional voices in political discourse. While her remarks have been polarizing, they have also succeeded in sparking a broader conversation about leadership and accountability in the UK. For Starmer, the challenge now is to navigate the fallout from this critique while staying focused on the larger task of governing. Hopkins's attack is not just a political challenge, but a test of his ability to respond to criticism and demonstrate resilience in the face of adversity. To counter the narrative that Hopkins has advanced, Starmer will need to articulate a clear and compelling vision for the country, one that addresses the concerns she raised while reaffirming his leadership credentials. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Katie Hopkins' critique of Keir Starmer's time in office? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.